Okay, so we've got water and water pressure, we've got magnets and magnetic flux. You may want to consider magnetic flux as a type of pressure through space, volume. We have the situation here where magnets don't do any work. So when they're sitting up there, there's potential energy, no kinetic energy, blah, blah, blah. So I'll go in close. But you can make it into a spring, and you can get work done from a spring. So now we've got a ball here, golf ball. Found my golf ball last night, so I want to put it on there. Now this is the two states together. Not only is it being buoyed up by the water pressure in this sort of situation, but it's also starting to spin round, so there's work being done. So it's actually got two states there. But normally if I put that on the end of the water spout, if I took this off and increased the pressure, which I can't do with one hand, because it's one of these old ones, but you should be able to, if you're very skillful, balance this on the end of your thing and get to a situation where the golf ball is just doing no work. But it may want to spin round, but in this sort of situation. Anyway, I've basically worked out what I want to do. I'm probably going to do 4 stages. I'm going to do the linear track, and I'm going to take the linear track and get some hosing and make a loop on the lawn and run the little carriage round in a circle continually. But at the moment we're just making the naughty bits factory, or the bits factory, so it's a slow process, fellas, but we're making unit A, and then we modify it by adding another one to make unit B, and then we just fillet it, and I don't know, it doesn't matter whether you use the big thing or the small one like that. So anyway, I just set up the tripod here, and we might want to put some of our naughty bits together and make a short little linear track here, and see how we go. Because I think you might, for all the doubters here, this is the beginning. The genie's out of the bottle. Well, the genie will be out of the bottle once you've seen this. Mr. Motion Magnets will be very pleased, because he's got all the bits all ready to be able to do this sort of thing. He's even got track as well. So Mr. Motion Magnets, this is basically for you. This is going to prove what I wanted you to prove to me, but I think I'm going to prove it to you first. Is you want to get your, I mean, this is the early stage sort of thing, and there are even errors with this. One of these has got an error on it, not that one. Yeah, 2 are correct. Oh no, yeah, 2 are correct on there, and then one's incorrect. So that's correct. Oh, I made a mistake on that one. Got to watch for that. But this early stages, but even with this error in there, you'll see that it works. So even with a slight error, you're going to see that this works. So basically, we want to go this way, I suppose. So basically, you just want to make sure you're in the right way. You put them on like that. Simple as. Get your other one. Put it round. You want to, that's it. Put it in there like that. So it's like that. Shove it in here. Behind that, it's ready to go. Do the next one. Make sure you haven't bugged anything. Make sure, yep, there you go. Put the next one in. It's going to be easy peasy, lemon squeezy, Japanesey. Put that in there. Stick them down on the ground. Get them like that. And then get your sheet of glass, which I've somewhat cleaned. Put your sheet of glass there, on there. Get your little wagon bizzo here. That's where you put the thing. Okay, so just put your discriminator on there the way you want it to go down. Put your truck on there, get it to where it goes, and there you go. Reproducibility. Once you get it over. Once we've got a long track, it's just getting it started. But of course, when you go around in a circle, the end bit becomes the front, and you'll go from linear motion to circular motion, which we're going to probably do on the lawn sort of thing. Oh, I see, the flap's open or whatever, this little thing. Let's use the other truck, show that it's not just the truck. Let's use the other one, the other little wagon. So we're going to fire up the kids of the world, and they're going to tell their parents, "Hey Dad, all I want this Christmas is a shed full of magnets," because once they realise you can probably not just go around in circles, you can go up hills, down hills, and make wheels go round, and it's all done with magnets you can just glue together. Yeah, they'll still be stuck in front of their Xboxes. Yeah, you're right. So there we go. So, oh geez, it's powerful, isn't it? May have to glue this down. Oh geez, it goes even better. Why is that? Ah, listen. Well, if that isn't the sound of success. If that's not the sound of success. So, do you think I'm going to get this on the lawn, get a bit of tubing, cut it in half, put the tubing over a circular array of these, put the thing on, it just goes round and round and round and round. Powerful stuff. There you go, you can actually hear it working. Okay, well that's the start. Well, that's basically your proof. I don't really like using the word proof, because that's usually a term is only associated with the discipline of mathematics. Really want to show. Yeah. Show that it works. Well, there you go, fellas. That's the beginning. The genie's out of the bottle now. You can't go back. You do know that. It's like Rubik's Cube. Before Rubik's Cube existed on the planet, and after when Rubik's Cube existed on the planet. So there we go. So it's just basically now getting the A and B factory, the naughty bits, and just plugging out hundreds of them, building a linear track and then turning it into a circle on the lawn, and then we're going to probably do it to the wheel, and then I'm going to attach. I'll get this out of the way before I break it. And then what I want to do is do the wheel vertically, which will make it harder to run, I would suggest. But so we can do the water wheel, the paddle steamer sort of thing. Sort of run this on the side of the wheel sort of thing, but it's going to be heavy, and we're probably going to have to. I don't know if we can actually hang it here. Sort of thing. It's very heavy. But do this vertically, sort of thing, and then sort of, get your. Where's my discriminator on? Yeah, we'll just sort of push it around, sort of thing. I've got anything I can tie it with. Yeah, hang on. Anyway, sort of thing. This sort of. Yeah, that's that 41. Yeah, see, that's the 41. But even with the 41, I can get it to work. So there you go. Done and dusted, basically. There's your answer. And we'll just plug it out, and it'll just the evidence will just keep accumulating and accumulating, and it'll be like a tidal wave. We'll activate the children of the world. As I say, they'll be saying to their parents, "Dad, all I want for Christmas is a shed full of magnets, and I'll love you for the rest of my life." Because over in WA, yeah, what's the difference between a fad and a craze? A craze is new, a fad can be old, but a craze can also be a fad when it's brand new. Yeah. Over in WA we had this thing called green slime. It just came out of nowhere, started, and it went on for almost slightly longer than 6 months. It just went long enough to almost seem like it was never going to end, because like in a child's life, one Christmas to the next is like it's like an eternity. So this was over 6 months, so it was somewhere between, almost coming up to a length between Christmases or an eternity sort of thing. It felt like it was never going to stop. A bit like the America's Cup sort of thing. I was overseas at the time, so I missed out on the America's Cup. So I'm deeming this to be my America's Cup. So when I do this, this will be my 8-month holiday party sabbatical or whatever. So I plug this out, and the world's going to go crazy, of course. and this will be my sort of the party I never got with America, because when I came back it was still dying down, and there's really weird things going on in the streets as well. So I don't know what really happened was in the right in the middle of it. But I know when I came back, half my Carnivorous Plant Society was just gone and never returned. Never returned for more than 20 years. I tracked down one or two people after about 20 years, and I said, did something happen? I said, did someone punch somebody's lights out? And this bloke said, no, but you're close. No, but you're close. So if you can do your QAnon on no, but you're close. So someone didn't punch someone's lights out, but he got very close to punching someone's lights out. I don't know, but hopefully when people start dying, they'll leave little notes in their wills and stating exactly what happened. Now that I'm dead, I can't be sued, sort of thing. Here's the story. This is what happened while you were overseas on that student exchange, and you came back and half the society was missing, and all the positions have been jostled for. And I think we'd gone from monthly meetings to bi-monthly meetings. I can't remember now which way it ran. It was so long ago. So it must have gone the other way, because I know we hankered to try and get back to monthly meetings, because that was the problem. They used to rile you up, and it was just long enough for you not to stay angry. That's basically, I think that's what it is. They're playing from some sort of, they're acting from some sort of playbook sort of thing. If the meetings are too close together, people will still be angry enough to confront you at the next meeting and say, "Oi!" After the penny is dropped, sort of thing, sort of ruffle you up a bit, sort of thing. But anyway, so have fun. But I'm just going to keep plugging this out, the A and B factory, and I'm just going to make a longer linear track, and then I'm going to put it on the lawn, I think, and run a loop and get this little car, or either one seems to be working better than the other, and run it round and just watch it go round and round and round, I reckon. I mean, that's, as I said, Mark Schall, as I say. Yeah. And then I'll do the wheel level, and I'll try and do the wheel in the vertical position, but it's going to be very heavy. And how I'm going to attach these units to the wheel that way. But maybe you want to do that yourself on your side of the world. But that will sort of support the argument for the paddle steamer sort of thing, and the water wheel. We want to transfer water from one channel to the next sort of thing. You could design something that makes use of this functionality, and So how many amps do you need to magnetize a magnet? I know they do these things like with car batteries and welding devices, when they go and they've made a magnet sort of. They sort of, you go into these shops and you hear in the background they go or sort of thing. If I can use my ear to try and get as close as possible, it's sort of with a bit of a shake in it, sort of for a fraction of a second sort of thing. So how much energy do you think they're putting into this? I mean, how long does it take for your magnets to run down? Do they run down in a logarithmic fashion? Again, an example of radioactivity. I was just thinking, does everything go by the inverse square law? So electrostatics, inverse square law, so it's a form of radioactivity. Magnetism, inverse square law, so it's a form of radioactivity. Gravitation, inverse square law, so it's a form of radioactivity. Light, inverse square law, so it's a form of radioactivity. Is that the problem with Einstein? He'd made up the word space-time, and therefore he'd blinkered himself from the term radioactivity, space-time, radioactivity sort of thing. So he blinded himself by actually inventing the term space-time. He'd actually, in a way, put blinkers on his eyes and stopped himself from seeing the terminology in a similar fashion of radioactivity sort of thing. So it's everything that involves an inverse square law is a form of radioactivity. So I'm just putting it out there for you fellas. You think about it, you think about all your magnets. You got your iron magnets, so you got a small carbon and a massive heavy iron. You got your alnico, so you got small light aluminium, and you got these massive nickels and cobalts, big and heavy. Yeah, big and heavy, small and light sort of thing. And then we go to the modern day magnets of the barium ferrite sort of thing. Iron, boron, something else. Boron's very small, very light, and then you've got these two other things. My suggestion to you fellas is why don't you go to 3 massive atoms and 1 small one? Because if you notice with magnets, if you on the edges and if you sharpen things down to a point, you seem to get more magnetism out of a sharpened point or on the edges of a magnet. So maybe you want to have like a pyramid sort of thing, where you have large atoms, and at the tip of the pyramid you want a small one, and you'll. Because I went to some lecture in the late 90s, I think it was, some CSIRO lecture at the showgrounds, and the bloke there put up this graph showing this curve, suggesting that in the future, round about 2050, I think it was on the graph, round about 2050, they should be at 400 times the barium ferrite. And I specifically asked him, you're talking from a barium ferrite point of view, because that was before we had all these sort of super duper things were readily available, and they were sort of like almost hush hush sort of thing, you know. They weren't freely available and cheap. It was barium ferrite was still the king sort of thing after alnico sort of thing, because samarium of course is radioactive. Again, samarium, a large. You know, you might want to look into that sort of concept. Little and large, big and small, light and heavy, sort of thing. Blah blah blah. You know, does that compare to radioactivity in a way? You know, with our nuclear elements, are they all really big, massive elements? Are there any small radioactive elements? You know, small atoms that are also radioactive, I suppose. That's what I'm really saying, because all the small ones are usually expelled from the atom, I suppose. So anyway, just what you might want to think about that. So if you're searching for newer, you know, stronger magnets, apparently according to this graph, you can get up to 400 times. And the bloke said, when we get there, you'll be able to pull a needle across the room, just holding a magnet like this, you know, just go like that, and someone would be holding a needle on the other side of the room, and it would go flying towards the magnet and stick to the magnet when they get to that 400 times sort of strength sort of thing. So you might want to stick that in your back burner, in your top hat sort of thing, and think about that. So my suggestion to you is to look for combinations of big and small, and try and go for, you know, a few big ones with a little one, because all the sharps, edges and points usually are more magnetic than the actual magnet itself, if you notice that. Whether that's due to some other reason, I don't know, but I've just observed that over the years. You know, a nail, you know, the most magnetic part of a magnetic nail is at the point, and it seems to be unusually more magnetic than the rest of the nail. If you can explain that simply, someone's going to try that. But then again, there are other people out there explain that, you know, magnets do no work, but we can show they can both. There's 2 situations: cases where they don't do any work, and in other cases where we can actually make them do work. You know, if you get using the right principle. You use the principle of the tank track rather than the principle of the windmill, but the actual child windmill, of course, is built by trial and error, of course, so it's actually using the principle of the tank track, but everyone thinks it's the principle of the windmill. But it's been built, and again with the water sprinkler, you know, the little whirligig one, built by trial and error, of course. Everyone thinks it works by, you know, chucking out water one in an equal and opposite reaction makes it go around the other way. No, it's the principle of the tank track if you look carefully enough, because it's been built by trial and error, not on principle. So you think it's working one way, but it's actually working another if you look closely. And that's how we got to this stage. We actually, over about a year's, you know, putting this thing on the back burner, trying a few things and getting all these false starts, because the false starts were coming from the correct principle, and the failures were coming from the other principle, which was the one that doesn't work. So when we put the right principle together and do it properly, it works. So we're going to show that now by just building lots and lots of these A and B units, and we're going to do a nice long linear track. We're going to run it around on the lawn, you know, put a bit of hosing over the top of it, put the little wagon in the middle of it, and go from there, sort of thing, and just get it going round and round and round, and we'll time it 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours. How long does it have to go round before someone concedes that? I know. I mean, maybe someone with better internet access and capability can come around and just sit a camera there and just have a clock just ticking down, watching this thing go round and round and round and round. Day 1, day 2, day 3. How long? Do you get to 365 days and they're going to concede that it? How long is it going to run down? Well, I know from magnets from my childhood, which I've still got,